Today, we're going to be talking about the internet's favorite buzzword, growth hacking. So, what is growth hacking and why has it become so popular in recent years? Now, you might say that growth hacking is just marketing with a glow up, but at its core, it's essentially doing more with less. Less budget, less people. And as a startup, you're probably going to be doing things that are more akin to growth hacking and less so of marketing because we don't have a huge budget and we don't have a lot of people to help us out with our goals. All right, ready? Let's start building. All right, so what is the technical definition of growth hacking? Growth hacking is a data-driven, multidisciplinary approach that businesses use to quickly increase their user base and revenue while minimizing costs. It involves combining elements of marketing, product development, and data analytics to create, test, and execute strategies that can help businesses grow. It's a little bit like UX meets marketing meets doing everything because you're a solo founder. So growth hacking versus marketing, which one should you be doing right now? The answer is you're probably going to be doing a little bit of both. One of those activities doesn't necessarily replace the other. Both of them are important. Your marketing efforts are going to be the thing that converts the users into a paid member, into a converted user, whatever your KPI for success, for conversion is, your marketing is going to be the thing that really drives that. So think of growth hacking as the activity that's going to bring users into the top of your funnel, and marketing is going to be the messaging, the storytelling, and everything that converts them through the funnel. I'm going to break down both and how both will help you along your startup journey. So what do growth hacking activities look like? It's kind of a given by its name. It might be a little bit hacky. An example, if you are a startup that has a job board or recruiting service and you are trying to actively capture job seekers, or you're just trying to capture people who are maybe like unhappy in their career and they're looking for a change. So growth hacking for that company could look like setting up a web page with a quiz or a calculator, essentially saying, am I being paid what I'm worth? And once you've filled out that form or that calculator, you'll get the message saying, you're not being paid nearly enough. And then you hit them with a simple message. Interested in exploring other options in your area? Leave your email and we'll send you our quick guide to getting started on your job hunt. Remember, we are growth hacking. We're trying to fill the top of our funnel. We are not using this to get you into a fully converted lead. We are just trying to get the lead into the door and get that first touch point with the user. So other examples, if you have a parenting website or parenting blog with some kind of course or some kind of sales component, you could also put, quizzes or calculators. Am I spending too much on my family's activities? What type of mom am I? Growth hacking is really thinking outside of the box for fun, quick, intuitive ways to get more users into the top of your funnel. So you're basically just trying to solicit that first piece of contact information from a user, whether that's a phone number or an email address. So growth hacking doesn't always have to be setting up some kind of component or interactive on a website. It could also be done via social media, via digital channels, via building a community. So if I wanted to sell luxury dog collars, I could create an Instagram that is just funny, cute, luxury dog videos, dog photos, things that are just, clickbait meant to get the users in. And this can be separate from your business's sales presence or sales social media, where it's probably just going to be a lot of products, product images, your brand. This will be something separate. Remember, we're growth hacking. This isn't meant to replace your marketing strategy. It could also be creating and running a community. Personally, I hate communities only because I have worked in them throughout my entire career. They work. They're also a ton of work. But the benefits of having a community cannot be understated. Communities are so valuable. I've talked about this in my last video. You can get a lot of useful leads from there, your first users. Communities are just really great places where you can control the narrative. You can push out updates. You can talk freely about your product. Communities are just, they have a great ROI if done correctly, managed effectively, and you have to keep building up the community. You can't let it go dead. All right, now let's talk about marketing. I'm solely focused on growth. So if I can reduce hurdles to a user signing up, that's what I'm going to do. Probably one of your biggest hurdles at the early stage is just going to get people to fill out the form. Now, there's all kinds of psychology on form length, on questions, conversational form, traditional form. But what it all comes down to is you need to establish value and have a motivator for your user to go through the journey and just fill out that form. So when I'm leading a growth hacking initiative at our startup, I'm solely focused on reducing as many barriers as I can to get a user from a cold lead and through our door. And another key secret is I always test messages before I spend a single cent on advertising. But how do you test a message without advertising? At this stage, your startup is truly built on you and your effort. You need to be out there talking to people in real life, on social media, but you need to be driving the conversations. You need to be hearing how people are responding to what you're pitching them. And for me, I take that message to social media. I have natural conversations with people. If I'm trying to gauge people's responses or interest in a certain topic, I will typically make up a story that is not fantasy. It could very much happen in real life. It may have not exactly happened to me, or it did happen to me, but I tweak it a bit to fit the scenario for which I'm trying to test the message. For example, we want to get insight into people who are more likely to be posting Insta-worthy photos of family events or, holidays, other types of things, but people whose life or home or holiday setup looks a little more tailored than others. If you go out into social media and ask directly, do you guys hire people to do this? People are probably not going to be eager to jump in and say yes or no. But if I were to ask the question, this is a really important event for me that I have coming up and I need it to be perfect. Who are you guys using to make these Insta-worthy events? I want the details. I want to know if you guys are using a photographer. How are you getting these amazing photos? Who is doing those amazing backdrops and table displays? I need the full details. This is where you get people excited to share what they're using, recommending, and now you're getting further insight about the actual real buying habits of people through a natural conversation. And then we take that information and use it to make more informed decisions when we are running ads and the language and copy that we're using. And these are some of the more marketing functions. You are testing your message, you are seeing what works, and you're able to test quickly and easily, naturally through organic conversations. We're not spending money on advertising and waiting to see what our click-through rates are. Second is data analysis. You aren't going to be able to attempt growth hacking without having a real robust picture of your data and what your users are doing. And this can be one of the hardest parts for a founder is making sure you are tracking the data that you need to be using, tracking website visits, page clicks, button clicks, time spent on page, new versus returning user, and in your app, where they're going, what they're clicking, how much time they're spending, and how many sessions they are having. You need to also get very, very granular. At this stage, you should be tracking analytics on almost every single action to have a really robust picture of what your users are doing. There are really great tools out there that can help you. Some beginner-friendly, some not so beginner-friendly. Hotjar has been out there for a long time. Hotjar will give you slightly slower page loading speeds, but the benefit of the data that you get from it is very, very valuable. You have click tracking and heat mapping and how far users are scrolling. You can even watch recordings of how users are using your website, and that is very, very valuable. Of course, you have Google Analytics, and that's more of an intermediate to advanced tool. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of data analytics tools out there. At this stage, start small, start free, learn some basics about Google Analytics, and just start tracking. So for our testing, I'm really going to be focusing on our websites and landing pages. I would absolutely recommend investing in an A/B or split testing tool. Split testing is exactly what it sounds like. You have two versions of one page and you are testing the traffic between the two. You can have more than two. You can have three, you can have four. You are just testing different variations of a similar landing page to see what works better. And when it comes to split testing, you can do simple small A/B tests like changing the text on a button or a CTA, changing up some colors, to a full split test with completely different messaging, completely different style and flow of the page. The test is really up to you. I always recommend starting small. I wouldn't waste too much time or effort worrying about the designs or the page flows, but more about the content that's on the page, and particularly your graphics and your visual aids that you are using to tell the story about your product. And it will be super important to make sure that you're tracking the data to know which of those pages is the one that's winning, the one that's converting the most. So just to reiterate, definitely invest in an A/B or split testing tool. You're going to want to be testing a lot at this stage and really finding that message that works right off the bat. One of the worst things that you can do for yourself as a startup founder at this stage is just spin your wheels on things that aren't working. And if you are, you're not alone. I am a startup founder, but I have also been a startup failure. I've actually been a startup failure maybe 2 or 3 times, but each time I failed, I've learned from those experiences of what to do next time, how to have better market research, how to find product market fit or a PMF, how to have better data analytics, how to talk to people a little better, how to really listen when they're saying and figure out what is the real pain point. That's all for this week's episode. I hope you learned something new about marketing and growth hacking. I would love to know what you all are doing. You don't have to spill the secret sauce, but write in the comments below, what are you doing more or less at your stage in your startup? Are you growth hacking? Are you marketing? Are you doing a mix of both? Which one are you seeing greater success with? I love to celebrate wins together, so keep the comments coming. Let us know. Would love to hear from you. And if you like hearing my voice, subscribe below. I drop a new video every week. Connect with me on LinkedIn or shoot me a note at thestartupdevs.com. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week.